Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Matt here, and we back with another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. So we're coming off of UFC 289 weekend. We're in the main event. Amanda Nunes, the female GOAT of MMA. Amanda Nunes defeats Irene Aldana and has now retired. Yes, Amanda Nunes has laid down both of the belts in the octagon as well as her gloves, and she is now a retired woman, retired from the octagon, from the UFC. I just wanted to lead off with that because it's kind of like, wow, bro. Like, it's going to be interesting to see how the UFC moves forward with their women's division, with the Bantamweight Championship, with the Featherweight Championship. Because Lord knows it might be over for that featherweight division. It's going to be interesting to see how they move forward past this. But let's first we're going to get into the main event. We're going to get into the fight. There wasn't a lot to get into as far as the fight. Basically you had a 5-round domination by Amanda Nunes. Aldana barely threw any shots at all. I mean, I'd be surprised if she had 10 punches the entire fight. Um, it was very interesting because as you're watching this fight play out, which mostly played out standing up, which should have been Aldana's wheelhouse, so to speak. It's what I thought was her wheelhouse. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what her wheelhouse is, but it's what I thought it was. Um, I mean, you could see early on that at times, as I was saying in my previous video about this fight, you could see that Amanda was, she was getting challenged, not like really by any offense by Aldana, but it's just that Amanda, when she would land shots, she would get basically almost overconfident after landing, like if she landed a couple of jabs or right hand. And you could see that by landing those shots, she would get amped up and then immediately follow with a few shots after in which she was slightly off balance. And I kept thinking that, Aldana was going to be able to counter that. One time early on, I believe in the first round or maybe middle of the first round, I believe she did counter that. But she did land with one counter shot, but she just had that one. Like, it was 5 rounds and she just had like that one shot, so it didn't really go well. But nevertheless, good main event as far as being able to see Amanda Nunes showcase her talents one more time. After winning that fight by a clear 5-round decision, she ends up laying down her gloves in the octagon, and I have simplified that a great deal. Because it seems like as soon as she won that fight, they could not corral, they could not cage. They could not get Amanda Nunes to do nothing. Amanda Nunes went outside the octagon, started talking to Dana White. She's talking to multiple people that are seated close to the octagon or standing nearby. They can't get her to stand still to read the decision. She's talking to this person. She's talking to that person. I'm assuming she was calling for her daughter. She's just doing all this stuff, and it's like, Amanda, chill, bro. Well, I know you about to retire, but ma'am, we have we need for you to chill. Like, we got a show we doing here, you know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, Amanda just all over the octagon. What she moved more at the end of the fight after the fight was over. She moved around more trying to just talk to different people than she did the entire fight during the fight. So, when they finally got her calmed down, she finally, and also the cut man trying to cut the gloves off. Me and my wife watch this, and this cut man, I'm like, he's going to cut her wrist. Like, he's going to gouge it. He's trying to, sir, can you calm down with the scissors around the GOAT Amanda Nunes' wrists? Because you are cutting and you might snip something. Like, sir, like, don't slit her wrist, sir. We would like to see her give her a post-fight speech. And he's just sir. Anyway, So, nevertheless, she lays down the gloves in the octagon. They cut me and had me. I was triggered by that cut man. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, but no, she lays down the gloves. She retires. Happy trails to Amanda Nunes. You know, it's her and Cyborg as far as the goats of female MMA, as far as skill level and popularity and ability. If we're gonna go solely off popularity, I should say. If we're gonna go solely off of that, then you got to include Ronda Rousey in the conversation. But when we're talking just straight up skill level, impact on the sport, just being able to style on women and outclass them, you got to go with Amanda Nunes and Cyborg. So there you go. Shout out to Amanda Nunes. Shout out to her family. And, great career by her. It was awesome to watch a lot of her fights. Moving on from there, we're going to move on to what was my moment of the whole pay-per-view, of the whole show. Charles Oliveira goes out there and stops your boy Benny Dariush. Now, going into this fight, in the main event, I made a pick of Amanda Nunes. In this fight, I picked Benny Dariush. And I'm so sad that I picked against my guy, Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira is the man. He's been the man for a long time, but he's just the type of fighter that, you never really know what version of Charles Oliveira you're going to get. And what you got on Saturday night was world beater Charles Oliveira. You got Charles in prime time, Charles Oliveira conditions, weighing in at 154 pounds, letting you know ain't no doubt I can make the weight when I needs to. When you're not coming with these broken scales, UFC. Charles Oliveira, Charlie Olives, goes out there, defeats Benny Dariush. Outstanding fight. Both guys start the fight early, throwing heat. And, it's back and forth. Charles Oliveira, I couldn't quite see if he got caught with a shot or if it was more of he was trying to pull guard. But he basically pulls Benny Dariush on top of him on the ground. Benil Dariush came to pack heat too. He was throwing heat. Homie had some hands. And when they get to the ground, Benny pretty much, really starts getting into his grappling bag and kind of dropping down a little bit of ground and pound on top of Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira, I'm so hyped up I can barely say the man's name. Charlie Olives basically survives this on strike. You know what I'm saying, of Benil Dariush, and what you end up seeing, they get back to their feet. Charles Oliveira kind of pushes him back against the cage and catches him with a hook. I believe after that, they kind of trade. He may have caught him with an elbow to kind of wobble him a little bit, but he ends up dropping Benil with a shot. Benil falls to the ground. Charles Oliveira tries to go to the back. Benil blocks that. Charles Oliveira gets on top. I don't believe it was in full mount, though, of course. I believe it was more of inside control, so to speak. Maybe Benil had half guard. And nevertheless, Charles Oliveira finishes the man. Catches him with shots and finishes the man. Stops Benil Dariush. And overall, let's just get into it. Overall, it was just an emotional fight. It was an emotional moment because the entire week you just felt all of this popularity for Charlie Olives. Like the whole week, every time in the weigh-in, every time they spoke, every time they did the press conference, any of that, you could feel the groundswell of support for Charles Oliveira. When he walked out that night, you would have thought he was Canadian. When he came out, you would have thought the man was Canadian. You like, bro, are you sure? You was born in the favelas, and you wasn't born in Vancouver, because they was supporting Charlie Olives, and to see him walk out so emotional, I believe that's one of the biggest star qualities that Charles Oliveira has is the man fights with passion and with emotion. And when he says the champion The champion has a name, and his name is Charles Oliveira. You can tell he means that. That's not a line. Like, that's not a bar. You know what I'm saying? The man truly means that. And so when you're watching him fight, you're seeing this passion. You're seeing you're seeing his whole heart on display. I mean, when the man walks into the octagon, he always hugs his opponent most of the time and hugs their coaches. He greets them. You know, even though he's about to go in there and bash your brains out, you know, he's showing you the respect and the love of going into the octagon with him. And I mean, he just radiates. You can feel that from this man. And, you know, after he wins the fight, just like I said about Amanda Nunes, the man is chaotic. He's jumping over the cage. He's out in the crowd. He's hugging somebody in the crowd. Who was the guy he was hugging? I don't know. But he's, you know, he's a lovable, fun dude. And it's almost like he's letting the audience know, you know, y'all feel me, I feel you. You know, it's Charlie Olives. This is what I'm saying. He's the people's champ. You know what I'm saying? It was like when Jose Aldo defeated Chad Mendez, and you know, it's like those moments where, you know, the fighter jumps into the audience, jumps into the crowd. Molly McCann, when they jump into the crowd and they kind of, you know, you experience that moment. You know, Yoel Romero just jumping over the octagon and marching around it like he's a soldier. It's those moments where you feel the emotion coming from these fighters, and that's what creates a star. And Charlie Olives, Charles Du Bronx Oliveira is a star. And after the fight, the cheers that he got, and you could tell that so many people went into that fight, even as Charles Oliveira fans, still thinking, as I was, that, man, this is a tough task. Beneil Dariush is not playing around. 8-fight win streak. He's going out here. He wants his title shot. You knew he was coming for blood. But Charlie Olives weathered that storm and came out of it, and, you know, relatively unscathed, so to speak. And, you know, had a great, you know, post-fight speech, letting you know, showing you, you know, he's been working on his English. You know what I'm saying? He's in it now. He's in it. He knows he's a star. He's in it. You know, 8 million followers on Instagram. He's in it to win it. You know what I'm saying? He's on the come up. So, outstanding post-fight speech. He's sticking with the same, you know, the same speech, the same talk, the same promo. He's out there. The champion has a name, and his name is Charles Oliveira. I mean, bro, you know, put that on a t-shirt. Slap that on a bumper sticker. Do whatever you got to do. Put it on a Reebok hoodie. They not with Reebok no more. Put it on Venom hoodie. Bro, the champion has a name. His name is Charles Oliveira. That's all that matters. Charlie Olives goes out there, does it after giving this great post-fight speech. Most of it he did himself in English. The rest of it, you know, the commentator to the stars. I mean, not commentator, interpreter to the stars. You know, my man, I don't know his name, but shout out to him because he does a great job. He does the translation for you. It was great, bro. It was great. Then after everything was said, Charles Olives climbs on top of the cage, sits there, and you get this great camera shot where the camera's right under him, and he just starts crying. Hello, can we make a bigger star in MMA than Charlie Olives? So it was just great to see my man go out there and get the win. You know, I could speak about that fight for another 30 minutes. We won't get into it right now, but we gonna comes back to it in future videos. Let's move on. Nate the Train, Nate Landwehr goes out there, takes a L against Dan Ige. I wanted Nate the Train to win. I was behind him. I'm still on the Nate the Train hype train, but you know, you know, Dan Ige is the man. I mean, Dan Ige, you know, goes out there, the silent assassin, goes out there and, you know, dismantles a slow dismantle of Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr had very few, but he had a few moments in the fight. You know, he caught Dan Ige with a couple of shots, but for the most part, Dan Ige goes out there and kind of outclasses Nate the Train. But, you know, nevertheless, it's not going to break Nate the Train. It's not going to break his spirit. He'll be right back out there, you know, raising H, showing folk what it is, representing Tennessee, Nate Landwehr. So shout out to him. But Dan Ige gets the job done. So it's going to be interesting to see where he goes from there, how he climbs in the rankings and what the UFC chooses to do with him, how they choose to match him up. Great veteran of the featherweight division, Dan Ige. So we'll see where he goes from there. It's good to see him get that big win. Let's go into Power Bar. Marc Andre. Marc Andre goes out there with your boy, Eric Anders. And let me tell you, this fight, I kind of thought Power Bar was going to go out here, and no disrespect to your boy, but I thought he was going to kind of wash your boy. Your boy, Eric Anders, after he got caught early in the first round, got dropped. When he hit the ground and he got his wits about himself, your boy, Eric Anders, your boy was your boying out there. I mean, he was not playing around. He came for blood. He came to win. And they put on a heck of a fight. 3 rounds, back and forth. For the most part, Power Bar led the dance. Marc Andre, he pretty much led the dance. But, nevertheless, I mean, it was a good fight. I didn't think your boy was still that game. And I kept saying that to my wife. I'm like, man, this dude, he didn't come to play. I mean, he talking about he got, got some stem cells done to correct some injuries. But my man, what was in them stem cells, you know what I'm saying? Because Eric Anders was out here, you're boying it up. But nevertheless, Marc-Andre Barriault, if I said his last name correct, I probably did not. I apologize, sir. I do not want to disrespect Power Bar. He goes out there, gets a big win. It was a great fight. He did it in front of his, in front of his home country, in front of Canadians everywhere. So that was a great fight. That was good to see. The last thing I'm going to touch on, there was a lot of other good things on the card. It was sad to see Chris Curtis, him and Nasruddin, that was shaping up to be a good fight, I believe. I mean, Nasruddin at the time seemed to be a step ahead of Chris Curtis, but, I mean, it was only the second round when that head clash occurred. Accidental headbutt and opened up the eyelid of Chris Curtis. They could not stop the bleeding. He was also complaining about not being able to see. I think he more or less just kind of wanted a little bit more time to kind of clear his head, but the UFC had to move on. The referee wasn't trying to give him any more time, so that fight was called off. It is ruled a no contest. Sucks to see because that's 2 fights in a row that Chris Curtis has had, complications, had his fight ruled a no contest due to accidental headbutts. So it's sucks to see, sucks for him. He's a great fighter, Nasruddin, he ain't no slouch himself. Like I said, he seemed to be one step ahead of Chris Curtis. So I don't know. Hopefully the UFC can run that back, get a rematch. But shout out to Chris Curtis and the Action Man. I hope to see him back in there soon. Once they get that cut healed up or whatever was going on with his eye. But I believe he had to get stitches in his actual eyelid. So that could not have been fun, but nevertheless, that's how that fight ended. The last thing I'm going to touch on over the weekend, this didn't even happen at this pay-per-view. During the NBA finals, I believe this was at the last game in Miami. I believe this was on Friday night. Conor McGregor, where they're basically trying to do almost like a skit. Even though it's not a skit, I mean, it's live, it's in the middle of the arena. But, they've done this before with Max Holloway. They have him out there and he punches the mascot of the team that he's representing. They've also done this with Deontay Wilder. That was in studio, I believe, in studio for a show. I don't know what show it was for. But, they kind of do like this whole kind of little joke thing where, they'll kind of have like the mascot kind of dance around the fighter gets mad, pretends to get mad, and then they, throw a light shot at them, and, the mascot takes a bump, falls back, whatever. But when you're dealing with the king of snow, Conor McGregor, you're not going to just tell Conor just to do a couple of light shots to the mascot, do one little light punch. he'll sell it, he'll fall back on the ground, and that's it. You know, when you dealing with the king of snow, you know, you're not gonna get that. You know, you're gonna get bigger things. You know, bigger things, and man, Conor McGregor throws what was probably a good fake punch, knocks the mascot down, and then the Miami Heat mascot, I say, I don't know that mascot's name, but whatever the name is, throws a good fake shot. The guy takes a bump, falls backwards, and I know we're talking about Conor McGregor, so take a bump could mean a couple of things, but in this case, I mean the mascot fell, and then Conor goes in with that King of Snow follow-up shot. I mean, hits him with a hard shot while he's down on the ground. It's a downed opponent, Conor, and goes in with a hard shot. And I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't know what Conor was thinking. I mean, his brain, his mind was probably on a whole other astro field. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no telling where he was at, but it wasn't in Miami, and it wasn't in the arena punching the mascot. He was someplace else, because they probably told you, Conor, do a light shot, a fake shot, and he's going to sell it for you. But now, here you come, all Conored up, and then he gonna drop the mascot with the proper fake shot, and then go in with that proper 12 down. I don't know if it was a right hand or a left hand, but he goes in with that proper 12 hand and lays into the mascot again. And the dude, I mean, they had to take that dude to the hospital in real life. Man, what you doing, Conor? Now, you didn't have to do all that to that mascot. Anyway, that was in the headlines over the weekend. Conor going in there doing damage, winning fights against mascots. Anyway, so UFC 289 and Conor McGregor punches a mascot in Miami. That pretty much sums up the weekend. Amanda Nunes retires after defending her championship. And Charles Oliveira goes out there and shocks the world and defeats Beneil Dariush. I mean, outstanding pay-per-view, outstanding card. Great to see it. Dana White talking about that now Charlie Olives might be the one to get the next crack, the next shot at Islam Makhachev. So that's going to be interesting to see for a 155-pound championship. So we'll see how it all plays out. Outstanding show. I'm sure there's going to be a big fallouts, a lot of things going on, a lot of things in the MMA sphere over the next couple of days that will be, I'll be dropping dropping a little knowledge on. But nevertheless, I appreciate you guys for joining me for another video here on Matter of Fact MMA. You know what I'm saying? On this channel, on this great thing that we building, this empire. I appreciate all of you for coming along for the ride and watching these videos. And I'll see you next time. Peace.